President Trump tweeting this morning in defense of Friday's $1.3 trillion spending bill, specifically the increase in defense spending. Heard that from a lot of Republicans, too. Here's the tweet. Because of the $716 billion gotten to rebuild our military, many jobs are created. Our military is again rich. Building a great border wall with drugs, poison, and enemy combatants pouring into our country is all about national defense. Build wall through M! Exclamation point. Here to talk about that and more is Robert O'Brien, senior advisor to Mitt Romney and Scott Walker's presidential campaigns. Quickly, as we read that tweet, any idea what through M! Exclamation point means? Because I had trouble figuring that one out.
You know, I'm not sure. I assume it's a reference to the wall along the Mexican border.
Well, there's a reference to the wall. I just couldn't figure out what through M meant.
Right.
But we'll ask the White House and see if they can get back to us. Typically, they tell us the president's tweets speak for themselves. Meantime, how much attention is being paid to this military buildup? When the president came out and talked about the bill, he went through a lot of the things that it buys. New F-35 fighters, new submarines, new aerial refueling tankers. He went through that list. Is that something that the Kremlin and in Beijing and in North Korea and in Tehran, they're paying attention to?
Well, there were two huge mistakes in the Obama administration. One was freezing our defense spending and this massive drawdown in American defense spending at the same time that the Iranians, the Chinese, and the Russians were building up their forces. And so it's critical that we rebuild the military. And the second was appeasing Iran. And so President Trump ran on a Ronald Reagan Peace Through Strength platform. He's starting to rebuild the military. But frankly, even this budget is not enough. This budget will fill the potholes. It'll fix some of the readiness problems. It'll get our planes back up in the air, the F-18s, the F-35s. But we're going to need more to confront the Russians, Chinese, and Iranians down the road.
Is our Lucas Tomlinson and Jennifer Griffin over at the Pentagon are reporting half of U.S. Navy F-18s couldn't fly today. I mean, they're quite literally not ready to fight tonight. And that's not just the naval aviation. The U.S. Marine aviation divisions have huge issues with that. The Air Force as well. You wrote a book, While America Slept, Restoring American Leadership to a World in Crisis. So of those four countries, the Chinese, the Russians, the North Koreans, and the Iranians, how much leash do they feel like they have to go on this?
Well, they felt like they had a lot of leash in the Obama administration because they saw us drawing down our defenses, and they also saw an appeasement foreign policy, the Iranian nuclear deal, the JCPOA. So I think there are two things. Number one, President Trump is rebuilding the military, and more needs to be done. He's called for a 355-ship Navy. This budget doesn't get us there, but it's a step in that direction. And number two, by bringing in someone like John Bolton, who a conservative foreign policy hawk that the conservative movement is thrilled about. He's the Gene Kirkpatrick of this administration. He's sending a message. We're going to rebuild our defenses. We're going to bring in John Bolton. We're going to bring in Mike Pompeo to state. And we're going to have a robust American foreign policy.
So we're 15 months into the Trump administration. Have we seen any concrete actions by any of those four countries that show that they realize there is a new sheriff in town, or are we still waiting for that?
No, I think they understand that things have changed. I mean, for example, in the Persian Gulf, the Iranians are not swarming, using their fast boats to swarm our carriers and our destroyers that are operating in the Persian Gulf. I think they realize that after President Trump launched the Tomahawks on Syria to display his displeasure at their use of chemical weapons, I think the Iranians got that message. I think
at least in terms of the Russians, though, they're poisoning people in the United Kingdom. Now, all of a sudden, there's this question, are we going to expel a couple of diplomats? Is that really enough of a response from the United States to match this massive military buildup that President Trump is talking about?
Well, Leland, you hit it on the head. The Russians really have broken the rules from the Cold War, where if a spy defected and had gone to a Western country, or if one of ours had defected and gone to Russia, we left them alone. And the Russians left people alone once they were out of the game. And they've now attacked this spy in the UK. It's a dangerous escalation. I think that's why having Director Pompeo and Ambassador Bolton standing side by side with President Trump is going to really send a message to the Russians, in addition to whatever action we take on the diplomatic front.
Well, we'll have to see if the Russians get the message, which sometimes has been questionable. But appreciate your time, sir. Always good to have you.
Great to be with you, Leland. Thank you.